Hello dear students, in the previous video we studied about the consequences of partition, and we also studied that a huge number of people were forced to change their residence. They were forced to move from Pakistan to India or from India to Pakistan. And when those people, whether Hindus or Muslims, tried to cross the border at that time, they faced the greatest turmoil or a very heinous situation in their lives. They were looted, killed, maimed, exploited, made slaves, and women were killed, raped, made slaves, and forcibly married. And they were forced to change their religions. And we also know that violence was prevailing in every part of India, and some cities like Amritsar, Kolkata, Lahore were divided into Hindus and Muslims. So, in the previous video, we studied about those points, and now in today's video, we will study about the integration of princely states. So, dear students, let's start the class. India was divided into what were called the British Indian provinces and princely states. Dear students, at the time of British control, just before India got freedom, India was divided into two parts. First, British provinces, and second, princely states. British provinces were directly under the control of British government or British crown, and other princely states accepted the supremacy of British crown, British government, but they had internal freedom. They had freedom of internal affairs. In other words, we can say princely states or prince or kings of or head of the princely state were the link between the British and public. So, one more important question can be asked here. What do you understand about British paramountcy? Dear students, the princely states accepted the British supremacy and paid taxes to them, and in return they got freedom of internal affairs. So this process was called British paramountcy. Clear? So princely states covered one third of the land area of the British Indian Empire, and one out of the four Indians lived under princely states. It is said that at that time, princely states covered one third of the total area, and every one out of four Indians was from princely states. So the problem was, at the time of freedom, there were around 565 princely states in all. And when the British announced about the freedom, independence. They announced that along with India, along with India, the princely states will also be free from the British supremacy. Now, it was a great problem for India as there were 565 princely states across India. So, it was thought that India is once again going to be divided. So, this was a great problem, serious problem. And those princely states were given options that they may join India or they may join Pakistan, and if they don't want to join either, then they may remain independent. So announcement of this statement increased the problem of India. The problem started very soon. First of all, the rulers, so as it was thought, the problem started soon. First of all, the ruler of Travancore announced that the state had decided on independence. The ruler of Travancore announced that Travancore will neither join Pakistan nor India. Travancore will remain independent. And the next day, the Nizam of Hyderabad also announced the same. The Nizam of Hyderabad also announced that the kingdom of Hyderabad will remain independent. It will not join either India or Pakistan. So, dear students, here is a map. It depicts India of that time. The areas which are shown in yellow color were under the control of British, and all those areas which are depicted in sky blue color were the princely states of that time. So you have to find out the areas which were under the control of British and which were the princely states. And here we see Western Pakistan and of East Pakistan. So as we studied earlier that Pakistan was framed on two places. First one West Pakistan, next one East Pakistan. Now East Pakistan is called Bangladesh because Bangladesh was separated from Pakistan in 1971 after a long war. So we were discussing about Hyderabad. The Nawab of Hyderabad also announced the same that the province of Hyderabad will not join any constituency, will not join India or Pakistan. One more interesting thing about the Hyderabad, that the Nizam of Hyderabad was once the richest person of the world. So it was a great problem rising slowly and slowly. Afterward, after Hyderabad, Junagadh and the princely state of Manipur, they also decided the same, that they will not merge in India and also not in Pakistan. Now what was the government approach? The government's approach, the interim government took a firm stance against the possible division of India into small principalities of different sizes. At that time, the interim government, which was headed by the Prime Minister Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, at that time, in interim government, there was a great man of India, that is called Iron Man of India, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. He was the then Deputy Prime Minister as well as the Home Minister of India. He played a very crucial role in the unification of India when the world was thinking that India was going to be divided in different countries, different states again. At that time, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel played a crucial role and united almost India. But it was a very complicated task which required skillful persuasion. Dear students, as you know, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel was the leader of skill. He negotiated with all the princely states and he persuaded almost everyone, if we leave one or two states, and united India. But there were some states which still did not join India. The government's approach was guided by three considerations. Firstly, the people of most of princely states were clearly wanted to become part of Indian Union. Secondly, the government was prepared to be flexible in giving autonomy to some regions. The idea was to accommodate plurality and adopt a flexible approach in dealing with the demand of regions. Third, the backdrop of partition, which brought into focus the contest over demarcating of territory, the integration and consolidation of the territory's boundaries of the nation had assumed supreme importance. So the government approached three angular guided policy. Firstly, government clearly wanted to unite all the unions, all the princely states of the people, of India, and government considered the will of common people as the people from princely states desired to dissolve in India. First one, India took the views of common people, and where the people wished to be the part of India, those princely states were merged in India. Second view, Indian government shows its flexible nature and negotiated with the princely states with flexibility. They gave some autonomy to some princely states like uh, Manipur, Sikkim also. The third was backdrop of partition which brought into the focus the contest over demarcating of territory. It means the third was to demarcate the boundaries of India. So I would like to tell you one interesting thing, that India and Pakistan was divided on the night of 14th and 15th August 1947, but boundary between India and Pakistan, that is called Red Cliff. The boundary Red Cliff was demarked after 2 days on the day 17th of August 1947. So when India and Pakistan were divided, boundaries were not drawn. They were drawn after 2 days on 17th of August. So before 15th of August 1947, peaceful negotiations but started with almost every princely state. The rulers of most of the states signed a document called the Instrument of accession, which means that their state agreed to become part of Union of India. The maximum princely states signed a document that was called Instrument of Accession and became integral part of India. Accession of the princely states of Junagadh, Hyderabad, Kashmir and Manipur proved more difficult than the rest. It means these states like Junagadh, Hyderabad, Kashmir, Manipur, they did not sign that pact, or accession to these states was much more difficult than that of other states. The issue of Junagadh was dissolved after plebiscite confirmed people's desire to join India. The issue of Junagadh, when the princely rulers of Junagadh were reluctant to join India at that time, Sardar Patel took referendum, plebiscite or a referendum of the people of that state, and the people of that state showed their desire, expressed their views that they want to be the part of India. On the basis of the desire of the people of Junagadh, Junagadh was merged in India. And after you have read about Kashmir in chapter 8, okay, you have already studied about, we will study about chapter Kashmir in chapter 8. So here we will talk about Hyderabad and Manipur. Look at the picture. In this picture, who is there? Sardar Patel with the Nizam of Hyderabad. Dear students, second from the right and third from the left means this person who is wearing white clothes is Sardar Patel, honorable person of India. That is called Iron Man of India. And in the person in black coat, black gown is the Nawab of Hyderabad. So how were the negotiations with Hyderabad? Dear students, Hyderabad was the largest state, largest princely state, and it is spread in some parts of Maharashtra, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, sometimes Telangana also. At that region it was spread. And at once the Nawab of Hyderabad was the richest person of the world. And the Nizam of Hyderabad wanted to be independent. That's why he did not sign the pact. But after the negotiation of Sardar Patel, it was merged with India. Here I am reading from the sixth line. He entered into what was called the standstill agreement with India in November 47. For a year while negotiations with the Indian government were going on. Okay. In November 1947, the Nawab of Hyderabad signed a standstill agreement with Indian government. It means he was still reluctant for joining India, while the negotiations of Indian government with that princely state were going on. In the meanwhile, the movement of people in Hyderabad started against the Nizam. At that time, peasants of Telangana region, which were the victim of oppressive rule of the Nizam, and after some times, women also joined that movement. And that's why To stop that movement, the Nizam of Hyderabad deployed his force, his military oppressed the movement brutally. People were killed, maimed, women were raped, killed. The atrocity and communal culture of the Razakar knew no bounds. It means the military of the Nizam was showing its atrocity towards her religion. They were particularly making victims, particularly killing people, raping people who were non Muslims. That is why in September 1984, Indian Army moved to control the Nizam's force, and after a long time, Indian Army took an action and sent Indian Army to the region, and Indian Army took the control over the oppressive situation, oppressive ruling policies of the Nizam of Hyderabad, and afterwards Nizam surrendered and Hyderabad was merged into India. So next is Manipur. After a few days before independence, the Maharaja of Manipur, Bodhachandra Singh, signed the instrument of accession with Indian government on the assurance that internal autonomy of Manipur would be maintained. Dear students, before few days of independence, the ruler of Manipur signed a pact with India that was called Instrument of Accession. And in that Instrument of Accession, Maharaja put a condition before Indian government that the ruler of Manipur will have the power of internal autonomy. It means the ruler was free in internal affairs. Under the public opinion, the Maharaja held election. Okay, and afterwards, in 1948, under the public pressure, Maharaja of Manipur held general elections in 1948, and the state became constitutional monarchy. In this way, the Manipur was the first state who held elections. In the Legislative Assembly of Manipur, elections were held, government was formed, and Manipur became the first state who held elections. And now in the Legislative Assembly of Manipur, there were sharp differences over the question of merge of Manipur with India. While the Congress in Manipur wanted Manipur to be merged with India, but some other political parties, they were against the idea of merger of Manipur into India. But the government of India succeeded in persuading the Maharaja into signing a merger agreement in September 49 without consulting the popularly elected Legislative Assembly of Manipur. So what happened in 1949? In 1949, the government of India successfully persuaded the Maharaja of Manipur and made him sign a pact merger agreement in September 1949, and it was done without consulting the Legislative Assembly of Manipur. So this cause that at that time Maharaja did not consult the Legislative Assembly of Manipur, This time, this issue caused a lot of anger and resentment in Manipur. The repercussion of which are still being felt. So that caused that Maharaja did not consult legislative assembly and signed the pact with India for merger. So this issue caused a lot of resentment in Manipur. Even today some violations, aggression, or political turmoil is also felt in Manipur. So dear students, in today's class we studied about the unification or reunion or what we say integration of the princely states. So I think you got all the points very clearly, and still you have any doubt, then you can ask your doubts through the comments. You can drop your comments in comment box and ask your particular doubt. In next class we will study about reorganization of states. Till then, keep studying and take care of your health. Thank you.